What do you got going here, John?
You ready to start?
Yep.
All right. Hello. Yeah. Hi. My name's John. This is my inaugural YouTube video chat under Living with Grandpa John, and my cinematographer is Karina, my cousin. And basically, we're going to start out with canning pickled red onions. And the process is not really that complicated. There's two types of canning, the two main types of canning, that's pressure canning and water bath canning. And we're going to do the water bath canning method, which means you put it into a pot of hot water, you submerge it, and you basically boil it for 15 minutes. Now, it depends on what kind of jars you use. Now, we're going to be using some Eclipse jars, which are about from 1910. They were given to me by my brother. It was an old house that belonged to his family, and they were in the bottom. And they were going to demolish the house, and they came across these jars, and they gave them to me. So they're actually pretty cool jars. They consist of a jar, a metal ring, a metal lid, a glass lid, a rubber gasket, and a spring latch. So the method that we're going to do for these is not used much anymore. They've gone over to the normal two-part canning with the ring and the lid. And this is the old way of doing it, where you put the stuff inside, you put the spring on it, you boil it for required amount of time, and then you seal it, let it cool for 24 hours, and then take it off, put it on the shelf. That's what we're going to do with these. But first, I'll show you how I got the onions all prepared. Now, it's going to be pretty noisy when I run the slicer, but I found that's to be the easiest way to cut up the onions. And it's pretty simple. You stick it on, slice it up. Now this is going to be pretty noisy, so bear with me. So in the near future, I'm going to get a mandolin. It's a lot less noisy, and it's just as effective. But when you start out, Now we're going to break these up, and then we're going to boil them or pour hot water over them. Let the hot water seep for about 5 minutes, and that's going to take some of the sting out of the onion. So when you put it into the pickling solution, it won't be as strong. This is a Ball Eclipse wide mouth jar, about 1910. This one here is no good because there's a chip here on the sealing surface. The way that these work is, let's get a jar that doesn't have a chip in it, is you have a gasket that goes on, and this surface right here becomes the sealing surface. You can see that the chip, this one's no good. And then you have this here, and then this goes up, and there's a line at the top of the jar, a little notch, and that fits in there. Then this slips down, and voila, now it's sealed. Now, of course, what we're going to do is we're going to heat them up, and everything will expand and everything's fine. But we get to that point. But they don't use these anymore. They haven't used these in probably 60, 70 years. They're still out there. People like me and other old farts, we still use these because it's just a novel idea and they're fun to play with.
What are we doing here?
We're putting the water on. We're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes to take the sting out of the onions. And also, it'll soften them up a little bit. They'll still be crunchy. But when you're doing the pickling and canning, you know, onions give off a gas. And the gas affects, with humans, it affects your tear glands. And the tear glands and the gas combine, it turns into like a little acid, and that's what actually makes your eyes sting. And this, what this does is this helps remove that gas from the onions. So you let it sit for about 5 minutes. Then we'll drain it, and then we're going to start making the brine for the pickles. Make the brine right now. This consists of vinegar, water, sugar, and pickling spice and salt. So it's pretty simple. It's 1 cup vinegar, 2 cups water, and you make that depending on how much, you know, how many you have. We're going to start by making a double batch and go from there. So, get my measuring cup. Start with 2 cups of vinegar. And then, of course, 4 cups of water. Now you can use just regular white vinegar like I'm using, or you can use rice vinegar, or you can use apple cider vinegar, red wine vinegar, whatever, you know, whatever your fancy is. I'm using the good old-fashioned white vinegar because that's what I have available. Alrighty. And if you notice, there's a lot of noise because whenever you're using a gas stove, it's always turn the fan on because you never know. You can be using it 100 times and not have a problem. One time the gas light will go out. Next thing you know, it's going to blow up. And we're also going to use some good old-fashioned pickling spice. You can either make your own or buy it. I have some, so I'm using this one. This happens to be a McCormick blend.
Okay.
And I'm using, since we're doing 2 of them, I'm using 2 tablespoons. And use salt and sugar. Now, I'm going to use a tablespoon. There we go. And use some sugar. The same thing, just 2 tablespoons of sugar. There we go. Now we're just going to heat it up. Now, this is a generic pickling spice. And of course, your best spices are the ones you can make yourself because you can put in what you like. You know, it consists of allspice berries, it consists of cloves, mustard seeds, peppercorns, which are a berry seed. And then you've got different oregano, you've got caraway, there's all kinds of things you can manipulate it to get it to your particular liking. I'm using this because I have it available to me. And it's getting close to Halloween, so a little spice in the air is not bad. And we're only going to get this up to where it just starts to boil. Then we'll turn it down, and then we're going to drain our onions and start packing our jars. Now with our jars, you don't have to sterilize them anymore as long as you can them for more than 10 minutes above boiling, which is 220 degrees. Now, if you're going to do pressure canning, because there's basically, like I said, there's basically two types of canning. There's a water bath canning, is what we're going to do. There's pressure canning. So pressure canning, just as long as you go through and you do hot soapy water to clean your jars, which I have done, and then if you boil them for more than 10 minutes, you don't have to worry about sterilizing them. And that's per the home, I can't remember the name of the website, but it's for the internet, the National Home, we got to cut this one out, I can't remember what it is. We're going to take our onions and pack them in here as full as you can get it. So now we're going to take our onions, which we have blanched for 5 minutes, and we're going to pack as many as we can into the jar, but we're going to leave a little bit of a headspace, so you need to have it to when you can it, there's from here to here needs to be left open for the air to escape when you can it. So go through, get these all ready to go. We'll put the brine in there and go to the next set. What we're going to do now, of course, is put in the pickling sauce. We're going to bring it up to a 1/2 inch headspace, and that is the distance from when you put the brine in here. This is the top. You go down to right there. It's about 1/2 inch, and then you wipe it down with vinegar to get any thing that may have been on the edge, and put the seals on, put the lids on. And then we go to our next one and do the same thing there. I think I have enough to last me at least for 6 jars. Debubbling it. taking the chopstick, we're going down and just basically trying to get all the big air bubbles out of it. And in this case, this one here, I'm going to have to put some more liquid in because there was a lot of air bubbles. That one, and a little bit more in this one. Now we take some vinegar and we go all the way around the edge to make sure that there's no particulates or salts or onion or anything that would prevent it from sealing. Get your gaskets. You see this little tab right here? This is after you get through sealing and you want to open it. You use this to break the seal. Okay. Now, with these particular ones, you have to line up the slot. It's where the bar will land in the center of it. So, voila. So, you put it up just like that, but you don't latch it down. You leave it up. And then when you get done doing it, then you push the lid down.
These seals look new. Can you buy them still?
The jars, I haven't seen the jars out there other than like decoration jars. But the actual ones they use for cooking, for canning, no. I haven't seen them out there.
What about the gaskets?
The gaskets you can still buy.
Awesome.
I bought these at a co-op.
Oh, okay.
But the difference between these and regular ones is you can use these over and over again to a certain point until they get like a tear in them or so. That's one advantage of these older type jars is they can be reused. Unlike the modern ones, which I'm going to do in just a little bit, you can only use the seal one time. Now, when you're doing the water bath canning, the rule of thumb is if you're going to put them in hot water, the stuff from the jars needs to be hot. Or if you're going to start out with cold water, the stuff in the jar needs to be cold. Because if you go from hot to cold or cold to hot, you can actually crack your jars.